Five Little Peppers and How They Grew by Margaret Sidney. To the memory of my mother, wise in counsel, tender in judgment, and in all charity, strengthful in Christian faith and purpose, I dedicate with reverence to this simple book. Chapter 1. A Home View. The little old kitchen had quieted down from the bustle and the confusion of midday, and now, with its afternoon manners on, presented a holiday aspect that, as the principal room in the brown house, it was eminently proper it should have. It was just on the edge of twilight, and the little Peppers, all except Ben, the oldest of the flock, were enjoying a breathing spell, as their mother called it, which meant some quiet work suitable for the hour. All the breathing spell they could remember, however, poor things, for the times were always hard with them nowadays, and since their father died when Phronsie was a baby, Mrs. Pepper had had hard work to scrape together enough money to put bread into her children's mouths and to pay the rent at the little brown house. But she had met life too bravely to be beaten down now, so with a stout heart and a cheery face, she had worked away day after day at making coats, and tailoring and mending all descriptions, and she had seen with pride that couldn't be concealed her noisy, happy brood growing up around her, and filling her heart with comfort, and making the little brown house fairly ring with jollity and fun. Poor things, she would say to herself, they haven't had any bringing up, they've just scrambled up. And then she would set her lips together tightly and fly at her work faster than ever. I must get schooling for them some way, but I don't see how. Once or twice she had thought, now the time is coming, but it never did, for winter shut in very cold, and it took so much more to feed and warm them that the money went faster than ever. And then, when the way seemed cleared again, the store changed hands, so that for a long time she failed to get her usual supply of sacks and coats to make, and that made a sad havoc in the quarters and half-dollars laid up as her nest egg. But, well, it'll come sometime, she would say to herself, because it must. And so again she would fly, brisker than ever. To help Mother was the great ambition of all the children, older and younger, but in Polly and Ben's souls the desire grew so overwhelmingly great as to absorb all lesser thoughts. Many and vast were their secret plans, by which they were to astonish her at some future day, which only they would only confide, as they did everything else, to one another. For this, brother and sister were everything to each other, and stood loyally together through thick and thin. Polly was 10, and Ben 1 year older, and the younger 3 of the 5 Little Peppers, as they were always called, looked up to them with the intensest admiration and love. What they failed to do couldn't very well be done by anyone. "Oh, dear!" exclaimed Polly as she sat over in the corner by the window, helping her mother pull out basting threads from a coat she had just finished, and giving an impatient twitch to the sleeve. "I do wish we could ever have any light, just as much as we want." "You don't need any light to see these threads," said Mrs. Pepper, winding hers up carefully, as she spoke on an old spool. "Take care, Polly, you broke that. Thread's dear now." "I couldn't help it," said Polly vexedly. "It snapped. Everything's dear now, it seems to me. I wish we could have, ever and ever so many candles, as many as we wanted. I'd light 'em all, so there, and it light here one night anyway." "Yes, and go dark all the rest of the year, like as anyway," observed Mrs. Pepper, stopping to untie a knot. "Folks who do so never have any candles," she added sententiously. "How many do you have, Polly?" asked Joel, curiously, laying down his hammer and regarding her with the utmost anxiety. "Oh, 200!" said Polly decidedly. "I got 200 all in a row!" "200 candles!" echoed Joel in amazement. "My rockety! What a lot!" "Don't say such dreadful words, Joel," put in Polly, nervously, stopping to pick up her spool of basting thread that was racing away all by itself. "'Tisn't nice." "'Tisn't worse than to wish what you got things you haven't," retorted Joel. "I don't believe you'd light 'em all at once," he added incredulously. "Yes, I would too," replied Polly recklessly. 200 of 'em, and if I had a chance, all at once. So there, Joey Pepper." "Oh," said little Davy, drawing a long sigh. "Why, 'twould be just like heaven, Polly. But wouldn't it cost money, though?" "I don't care," said Polly, giving a flounce in her chair, which snapped into our thread. "Oh, dear me, I didn't mean to, Mammy. Well, I wouldn't care how much money it cost. We'd have as much light as we wanted, for once, so—" "Mercy!" said Mrs. Pepper. "You'd have the house afire. 200 candles! Who ever heard of such a thing?" "Would they burn?" asked Phronsie, anxiously getting up from the floor where she was crouching with David, overseeing Joel nail on the cover of an old box, and going to Polly's side, she waited her answer patiently. Burn, said Polly. There, that's done now, Mamsie dear. And she put the coat with a last little pat onto her mother's lap. I guess they would, Phronsie pet. And Polly caught up the little girl and spun around and round the old kitchen till they were both glad to stop. Then, said Phronsie, as Polly set her down and stood breathless after the last glorious spin, I do wish we might, Polly. Oh, just this one very minute. And Phronsie clapped her little hands together in rapture at the thought. Well, said Polly, giving up a look at the old clock in the corner, dearie me, it's 5:30, and almost time for Ben to come home. Away she flew to get supper. So for the next few moments nothing was heard but the pulling of the old table onto the middle of the floor, the laying of the cloth, and all the other bustle attendant upon the being ready for Ben. Polly went skipping around, cutting the bread and bringing dishes, only stopping long enough to fling some scraps at reassuring nonsense to the two boys, who were thoroughly dismayed at being obliged to remove their traps into a corner. Phronsie still stood where Polly just left her. 200 candles! Oh, what could it mean? She gazed up to the old beams overhead and around the dingy walls and back to the old black stove, with the fire nearly out, and then everything in the kitchen contained, thinking of how it would seem to have it bright and winsome and warm, to suit Polly. Oh! She screamed. Goodness, said Polly, taking her head out of the old cupboard in the corner. How you scared me, Phronsie. Would they ever go out? Asked the child gravely, still standing where Polly left her. What? Asked Polly, stopping with a dish of cold potatoes in her hand. What, Phronsie? Why, the candles, said the child. The ever so many pretty lights. Oh, my senses, cried Polly with a little laugh. Haven't you forgotten that? Yes, no, that is, Phronsie. If we could have them all, we wouldn't ever let them go out. Not once? Asked Phronsie, coming up to Polly with a little skip and nearly upsetting her potatoes and all. Not once, Polly, truly? No, not forever and ever, said Polly. Take care, Phronsie, there goes a potato. No, we'd keep 'em always. No, you don't want to, said Mrs. Pepper, coming out of the bedroom in time to catch the last words. They won't be good tomorrow. Better have 'em tonight, Polly. Man, said Polly, setting down her potato dish on the table and staring at her mother with all her might. Have what, Mother? Why, the potatoes, to be sure, replied Pepper. Didn't you say you better keep them, child? 'Twasn't potatoes at all, said Polly with a low gasp. 'Twas, dear me, here's Ben. For the door opened, and Phronsie, with a scream of delight, bounded into Ben's arms. It's just jolly, said Ben, coming in, his chubby face all aglow, and his big blue eyes shining so honest and true. It's just jolly to get home. Supper ready, Polly? Yes, said Polly, that is all but, and she dashed for Phronsie's eating apron. Sometime, said Phronsie, with her mouth half full when the meal was nearly over. We're going to be awful rich. We are, Ben, truly. No, said Ben, affecting the most hearty astonishment. You don't say so, chick. Yes, said Phronsie, shaking her yellow head very wisely at him and diving into her cup of very weak milk and water to see if Polly put any sugar in by mistake, a proceeding always expectantly observed. Yes, we really are, Benzie, very dreadful rich. I wish we could be rich now, then, said Ben, taking another generous slice of the brown bread. It's in time for Mamsie's birthday, and he cast a sorrowful glance at Polly. I know, said Polly. Oh, dear, if only we could celebrate it. I don't want any other celebration, said Mrs. Pepper, beaming on them so that a little flash of sunshine seemed to hop right down the table. And to look round at you all, I'm rich now, and that's a fact. Mamsie don't mind her 5 bothers, cried Polly, jumping up and running to hug her mother, thereby producing a like desire in all the others, who immediately left their seats and followed her example. Mother's rich enough, ejaculated Mrs. Pepper, her bright black eyes glistening with delight as the noisy troop filed back to their bread and potatoes. If we can only keep together, dears, and grow up good, so that the little brown house won't be ashamed of us, that's all I ask. Well, said Polly, in a burst of confidence to Ben, after the table had been pushed back against the wall, and the dishes nicely washed, wiped, and set up neatly in the cupboard, and all traces of the meal cleared away. I don't care. Let's try to get a celebration, somehow, for Mamsie. How are you going to do it? Asked Ben, who was of a decidedly practical turn of mind, and thus couldn't always follow Polly in her flights of imagination. I don't know, said Polly, but we must some way. Oh, that's no good, said Ben disdainfully. Then seeing Polly's face, he added kindly, let's think, though, and perhaps there'll be some way. Oh, I know, cried Polly in delight. I know the very thing, Ben. Let's make her a cake, a big one, and she'll see you bake it, said Ben, or else she'll smell it, and that'd be just as bad. No, she won't, replied Polly. Don't you know she's going to help Mrs. Henderson tomorrow? So there. So she is, said Ben. Good for you, Polly. You always think of everything. And then, said Polly with a comfortable little feeling in her heart at Ben's praise, why, we can have it all out of the way splendidly, when she comes home. And besides, Grandma Bascom will tell me how. You know you've only got brown flour, Ben. I mean to go right over and ask her now. Oh, no, you mustn't, cried Ben, catching hold of her arm as she was preparing to fly off. Mammy will find out. Better wait till tomorrow. Besides, Polly, and Ben stopped, unwilling to dampen this propitious beginning. The stove will act like everything tomorrow. I know 'twill. Then what'll you do? It shan't, said Polly, running up to look at it in the vase. If it does, I'll shake it, the mean old thing. The idea of Polly shaking the lumbering old black affair sent Ben into such a peal of laughter that it brought all the other children running to the spot, and nothing would do but they must one and all be told the reason. So Polly and Ben took them into confidence, which so late that half an hour later, when long past her bedtime, Phronsie declared, I'm not going to bed. I want to sit up like Polly. Don't tease her, whispered Polly to Ben, who thought she ought to go. So she sat straight up on her little stool, winking like everything to keep awake. At last, Polly was in the midst of one of her liveliest sallies. Over tumbled Phronsie, a sleepy little heap, onto the floor. I want to go to bed, she said. Take me, Polly. I thought so, laughed Polly, and bundled her off into the bedroom.